Dr. Wanda. I'm seated here with
Gia.
And we had a very interesting experience today. Gia said farewell to a friend. This was an adult woman in Tema, NewTown, who died unexpectedly. The situation was painful for Gia because unlike other times, this time she actually knew the person, and she immediately told me, she was like, "Mom, I'm going to her funeral." And so I said, "You can go, but I'm not allowing you to go by yourself." I just did not want her to process that type of pain alone. This was your friend.
This was my friend. I would always buy water from her. She would always say, "Good morning, my friend. Good afternoon, my friend. Good evening, my friend." Sometimes if I don't have money to buy water, she would just cover me and give me water. Then I would come back the next day with her money.
Mm-hmm.
But we were just close friends, and it hurt me to say goodbye to her, and I didn't even get a chance to even see her after.
She died Christmas Eve.
Yes.
And it's taken a while to actually have the funeral. In Ghana, they don't have funerals really fast like we do in the U.S. And so now we're in the end of January, so we're just getting to the funeral. I know that your cousin Priscilla had filled you with a lot of fear about seeing her. And what was it exactly was your anxiety?
My anxiety, well, Priscilla told me before, like, she was just joking, but it kind of scared me. Like, she said, before, when she would go there, she would be calling her to say, "Priscilla, come and hang my clothes for me. Priscilla, come and buy my water." So she started having like dreams about her telling her buy my water. Now that she's gone, it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
So it got me a little scared. But when I went and saw her body, it didn't look that well.
Well, one thing, Gia didn't want to go and view the body. We sat there for quite some time. The funeral was supposed to be from 9 to 10. It actually didn't really get to shape itself until around 12. And then they made it clear, like, if you want to view her, this is the time, because then it was going to begin to wrap up. And so I asked her, did she want to go? And she was really kind of saying no because of the fear that had been put in her. And, and I said, listen, this is life. Like, you don't let someone plant a seed so deep in you that becomes like something to have nightmares around. I said, let's go together. She said, she thought it out. She said, will you go with me? I said, I'm definitely going to go with you. So we went. And she knew her in life. I only knew her by the poster. And like Gia said, she was not.
I was not happy.
Yeah.
I wanted to cry so bad, but I didn't even want to think about it. I just saw her. I was really sad, and once we got out, it was just over.
Yeah.
It was over, and I had so much relief.
Well, she didn't know. I was actually really proud of her because she saw that, like, there was nothing to be fearful of. It just, she was sick, and then whatever embalming process they used, it didn't make her look like she was asleep. She looked different from herself, and that is something that lots of us go through sometimes.
She looked bluish, like her skin was like almost like that type of cloth, that's slippery. It didn't look that well.
Well, I'm proud of you. One thing I try to push with Gia, I tell Gia all the time, like, I get all these compliments about being strong, but I'm actually like the scary person, even down to being scared of heights. I'm super scared of heights, but I get on planes, and I want my daughter to press through fear. You cannot let that cripple you, because it's just so much out here to be scared of, and people will always use it as a tool to control. So now that you've gone through it, are you okay?
I'm okay, but I don't ever want to see that again.
Yeah. And I told her, I said, you will.
I know, but
that's the cycle of life. We come and we go.
But just hearing her name on the streets, just
hurt you.
Yeah.
You still, Gia, there's such a thing as grief.
Yeah.
And we grieve people. Some people believe there's a window for grieving. I'm from the school of thought that you grieve for a lifetime, that there are just some things and some people that you just miss your entire life, and that's all it is. But I also have lived long enough to know that all of this stuff gets put in a proper perspective, where I believe one day you'll be able to hear her name and you'll be able to smile and laugh and say, you know what, this lady would have been offering me water, or we would have been giggling about this, or she would have winked at me, or whatever those little sweet things that made you plant her in your heart in the first place, that's going to be there. So we did a funeral. Colors were black and red. We did our very best. We stayed the entire time. It was intensely long and beautiful, but also I'm like Gia, this is not what you necessarily want to do on your Saturday. She was 33 years old. She left children behind and one parent.
And her name?
What's her name? You know her.
Her name is
Starshicle. They had on her banner Helena. Yeah. I guess that's her
English
name. Yeah.
But by the way, the poster that you took a picture of is the poster that Priscilla was afraid of.
Well, I wasn't afraid of it. I thought she looked okay, but I didn't see her in her naturalness.
Yeah.
One thing that disturbed me, and I knew I wanted to be by my daughter's side, was the cause of death. So one thing she and I have talked about a lot is body image. Gia's a thicker person. Here in Africa, she's very embraced for her. Fat is not a negative word. In America, it is the death of words. Like no woman, black, white, green, Martian, wants to ever be called fat. But here it's actually a compliment of sorts. And so, but apparently in Ghana, it can go to the extreme.
Yeah.
So there are some women who take medications in order to become fat. And apparently her friend was one of them.
Yes.
Yeah, she did that.
That's another reason why she was calling Priscilla every day, come and hang my clothes for me, because her legs were always paining her, so she could never get up to actually hang her clothes by herself.
That's getting too big and too.
And I mean, when I look at her, she wasn't even that big. When I look at her pictures,
but Isaac said she was a small framed girl. But she actually was tiny, and so she had packed on quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
what's the name of the medication that the women take to get big?
I don't really know the name, but I saw a man selling, and it looked like Fat something.
Okay.
But
he named one that started with a P. He remembered as a child going to get medication for his mother in order to get fat.
But I mean, the picture on there was like, if you've ever watched one of if you're here in Ghana, if you've seen on your TV fat people dance.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah. It looked like one of them, and it was just a picture of a big booty woman on
and so this medication is supposed to make you big.
Yes.
And my understanding is she took it, and she even had a couple of miscarriages from having taken it, and she stopped taking it, but it had already begun to do its damage. Yeah. So this is also a video about the caution. It's a cautionary video. Gia knows I'm not into any of the body shaming. I accept my body, how my body is. I don't apologize for any of my babies, for stretch marks, for being fuller, none of that. You like it, great. You don't like it, go across the street, get you somebody else. But this is Wanda. This is me. And I try to give the same gift to my daughter, who is very much built like her father. She's very tall, very statuette. We both tease each other about being a SpongeBob SquarePants. Neither one of us never need to be in nobody's twerking contest. Ever.
No,
we don't want to do it anyway.
We don't.
But believe me, the money would stop. Okay. And I just tell her this is you. This is the temple God gave you. You live in it. And for every person that doesn't embrace it, there's 20 other people that's dying to get next to you and know you. And that's where you put your energy. Like people who like you.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very simple. And the first person that needs to like you is you.
Yes.
You need to like you. So I've been a size 10, I've been a size 20, and now I'm somewhere in the middle, and life is okay. I told you, I said the same 6 type of boys that liked me as a kid are the same 6 men. Michael Jackson was never looking at me, and Prince was never looking at me, okay? And I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I didn't miss out on anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt sad that she was exposed, and she really is still exposed to that mindset. Because when I went to pick up Gia, she pointed out some women. She said, I'm confident they're taking that drug.
I saw a bunch of them. There's no way possible, absolutely no way possible. Half of all of those women at that
funeral?
Yeah, funeral.
Could be that big.
Could be that big.
Yeah.
They all look like all those people that you see on that Fat People Dance show that are just trying. And I mean, one woman, she's just absolutely big. They put her in a wheelchair.
Yeah, well, again, I know that the drug exists. I know that the mindset exists. Everybody's not doing that. We're definitely not saying that.
Mm-mm.
But there is enough of it here, and it is causing its own damage. Yeah, so this was one of the casualties of that. And, she's left behind children, and there was so many people there. This girl was loved.
Yes.
She was really loved. Like, this never needed to be a part of her storyline. It never needed to be there. So we've learned a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, I watched all those people, and one woman, she went all the way up to her casket. They have already locked the casket.
Yeah.
They're about to bury her, and she's literally just crying and hugging the casket.
Yeah. So, I mean, and some of it blows our mind because now we're we're coming from the U.S., but now we're in a black nation. And we're often in adoration. We admire many of the figures here. The African women are beautiful. When they're beautiful, all shapes and sizes. But when they're beautiful, they're beautiful. And they have oftentimes no sense of it. They have no sense of it. And apparently this beautiful friend of yours
She's
was
gone.
one of them. Yeah, so.
But
What else you want to say?
I also want to say this. If you're a Ghanaian, please don't bleach your children. Please don't. Because there's plenty of women here. I don't want to say who, and I don't want to say why.
Yeah.
But this is just my perspective. I've seen plenty of people where they've been bleaching their children. So when they grow into teenagers, for them to be light. But that's just a lie.
Well, I'm going to tell you something about bleaching. One thing that's very, very clear is that anytime you lose in pigment, you open yourself up to cancer.
Yes.
Melanoma is huge. Not to mention that it's unnecessary and it's a reflection of self-hate. You're given another cautionary piece that perhaps we'll come back on another day and we'll talk about. Today we're saying farewell to a beautiful friend.
Yes.
And we're reflecting on that experience to be at that funeral. And this was a day about decisions, choices in life,
Yes.
and then also the cycle of life.
Yes.
Gia said, I never want to go through that again, and I hated to hear her say that because I said the reality is you will. You're going to go to more funerals. None of us know our day and time, but we all have one experience none of us will escape, and that is that we all at some point will transition.
But there's one thing that Priscilla told me. Priscilla told me that one day God will come. He will come on earth, and he would choose his people. Like, he would come, and it would just be like me and you standing there, and he would just give us one thing that would just make us leave. And she always told me that you'll just vanish into midair, and I never believed that. I believe.
Okay, well, she believes in a rapture.
Yes,
she believes, that's what it is.
He just picked you.
Well, what I want you to do is, I don't want you to discredit Priscilla. I want you to be open to your own journey and figuring out spiritually what you believe God will do or has come to do. And do that through prayer and study and discipline, so that you find peace with it. She's saying God will return, but she wasn't strong enough to go to say farewell to a friend. If she really believed that, she should have known. She should have had the power within herself to also say farewell and not be scared of a poster.
Yes.
So I want you to explore further. Yeah, but anyway, we're signing off.
We're signing off. Bye bye.